Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. B from Cajun Country. I'm glad to be here. Glad you took the time to stop by. It's good knowing you're out there. Remember, we have 3 days. We have yesterday, which is gone forever. We have tomorrow, which is guaranteed to no man. And we have right now, living between the lines, in the moment. This is where in the present. Hope you're making the best of it. This is where we get a great deal of utility. Living in the moment. It's satisfying. A lot of people don't know how to do that. Hey Google, what is the temperature in Thibodaux, Louisiana?
The current temperature in Thibodaux is 86 degrees.
With a high today of 94, it wasn't as humid today as it's been. It felt better out there, even though it's still hot, but it wasn't as humid. Hey Google, what is the temperature in Sydney, Australia?
In Sydney, it's currently 57 degrees.
With a high of 60, and it's right now about 20 minutes to before noontime there, and so they're headed toward their high for the day. Let's check one more. Hey Google, what is the temperature in New Orleans, Louisiana?
The temperature in New Orleans right now is 77 degrees.
Good. It was a high of 93 today, and so it's coming down pretty quick. Not sure why. Maybe cloud cover. I don't know. But that's pretty cool for New Orleans, especially when the surrounding areas seems to be warmer. Hey Google, tell us a joke.
What's the first thing a monster eats after he's had his teeth checked? The dentist.
Hey, never bite the hand that cleans your teeth. All right. We're tonight, Joe Biden is going to accept his party's nomination for president. And I was thinking about that today. Well, this post is not about politics for the most part, but it was interesting because it put me in mind of a song. It goes like this. It says, people moving out, people moving in. Why? Because of the color of their skin. Run, 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 but you sure can't hide. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Vote for me and I'll set you free. Rap on, brother, rap on. Segregation, determination, demonstration, integration, aggravation, humiliation, obligation to our nation. Ball of confusion. That's the Temptations, 1970. And rap on, brother, rap on. That seems to be nothing. The more things change, the more things stay the same. or else this was prophetic. Who knows? But at any rate, I thought about that song today, listening to all of the convention speeches last night. Just a lot of rapping, a lot of posturing, a lot of promises, and not a lot of progress. After a while, you learn not to look for your help by the hands of politicians. You learn to realize that if God doesn't do it, it's not going to get done for you. No trust in politicians. I wanted to talk about this pastor by the name of Dana Coverdale. He has been having a series of dreams, and they're very convincing. He seems to be a humble and convincing person, and I'm not easily persuaded by what people say in terms of their dreams. I think the Word of God is the ultimate authority. Dreams are too unreliable, and people are all over the place with dreams. So I don't give a lot of credibility to dreams. Although I know that God gives men dreams. He gave Nebuchadnezzar a dream that Daniel interpreted, and that dream laid out the course of history from Babylon to the time when God would establish his millennial reign on this earth. So dreams can come from God, but it's a rare dream that I give any credibility to. But here seem to be interesting because parts of it have in fact come to pass in short order, and there's a culmination of a lot of things he's pointing to right around election time, and I think that's totally possible. So if you are doing anything to prepare for this continued sociological instability that we're experiencing, I think you have a little time, but not a whole lot of time. One of the things that I've done, and I'm not one to do a whole lot because I realize that you can only prepare to a certain point. After that, there's a lot of wasted utility. I mean, we have to prepare as much as we can for the fall of this society, well, of this country, which is going to affect many countries. But you can't. I mean, you can store 2 years worth of food, but there are so many things that can go wrong with that. The best advice I've been able to acquire over the course of years of thinking about this is to have about 3 to 4, as many as 6 months of provision, and then after that, there'll be so much instability that we would be living in a whole different sociological situation, and so having 3 to 6 months worth of food and provision, medications, and so forth seems to be good. Now, because I am on a mission to simplify, this introduces some complexity because, when you simplifying, you're getting rid of things rather than storing and acquiring things. And typically under normal circumstances, that's in fact the case. But you can still simplify in the midst of a pandemic and in the midst of an impending economic collapse. You can still simplify. In fact, it's incumbent upon you to simplify, to begin to acquire those things that are vitally important and to get rid of those things that are superfluous and just put added pressure and weight on you, maintenance and storage and all those kinds of issues. So the one thing that I've done that you might consider is I'm not trying to keep my whole house with lights in case of a grid down situation and big refrigerators. That's just too much. I'm not going to try to do that. But I do have survival. I will kick into survival mode, which means I have solar panels and an inverter, a pure sine wave inverter, and enough capacity, enough solar capacity to power one room and all of the lighting and a small refrigerator in that room. I have enough of that. And to me, that seems to be a workable solution for the long term because, I could have solar panels on my roof and all of that. And that's good if you have that and you already geared up and equipped for that. Beautiful. But if you are trying to put together a survival mode capacity, then you might consider something like I have, which I have 200 watts of solar panels, and I have an inverter, 1500 uh, watts uh, of surge and sustainable. I think and I'll have to check it, but I think I have 200 watt amp hours of power, which can power a light, a series of lights in my bedroom, and also a small domestic refrigerator that runs when it's operating about 15 watts per hour. Very low consumption. One of the best investments I've made. But I have that, and so I think, God willing, and if I'm healthy, I think that I have enough to not have to be caught up in the mix of confusion when things start to collapse around us. And when I say collapse, I'm talking about what I just read from this song from the 1970s. Um, all the ball of confusion that's going to ensue when the markets, which are, as you know, and I know, are being manipulated on a massive grand scale. I'm talking about the stock market, and also the food chain, which is being supported now. But you saw how quickly things turned around at the beginning of the COVID crisis, pandemic. I mean, everybody was in getting grab mode, and so things didn't stay on the shelf very long. But as we've learned to adapt through the pandemic, then supplies kind of caught up. But in an economic collapse situation, it's going to be different, because the very thing that keeps us looking like civilization is the supply chain. So it's going to be taxed. So I just wanted to talk just a minute about the solar situation, because it's complicated if you've not dealt with it before. So you need to learn about it. And so, maybe over the next couple days, I'll take you to my solar setup and give you an idea of what the bare bones solar situation needs to look like. And it might give you some ideas and perhaps some encouragement, because you can put together a solar system like I have for about $1,000, and that'll serve you well in a grid down situation, or just interruptions in the power supply, significant interruptions. Because if you got medicines and like insulin and so forth, you have to have a way to keep that refrigerated. Plus, when you cook and you don't eat all, or if there's some issue, and then it's just nice to have cool water to drink. So these are the kind of things that I'm talking about when you have to have a minimum supply of electricity, and if you don't want to invest in multi thousands of dollars worth of equipment, and if you do, that's fine. But if you can't afford it, then there are some smaller, cheaper, more economical options. I hate using the word cheaper, because it's not a matter of being cheap. It's a matter of being frugal and economical, and understanding the budget that you have to work with. So, if these are real limitations to every one of us. I'm going to keep an eye on Pastor Coverdale. I know he said that he's receiving a lot of very threatening mail and emails, and just a lot of negativity. You got to expect that when you are when you're in the vanguard, on the cutting edge, when you are the tip of the arrow. You got to expect that. But he seems to be a strong Christian and a strong man, so I know he can take it. But at the same time, we're going to be praying for him, and also making sure that we are continuing to be as prepared as we can possibly be without going overboard. because you can do that too. You can go overboard and get in debt, get into all kinds of things, and if nothing happens in the time frame that you think it might, then you got to deal with all that waste. Because food, and I know they sell food. There are outlets that sell food with long shelf life, years, and that's fine if you can afford that. But many times our money can only take us to the store to get canned goods and just a few things at a time. So this is the kind of and they use the word prepping, and that's a good word, and I think it's important. But prepping has become such a negative term in over the last decade or so, because it's been associated with people who are just out there where the buses don't run, and that's not a pejorative statement, because I know that sometimes we get excited about things, and I can appreciate that. But as you learn to be more measured and more judicious and more thoughtful, you learn to operate within a certain range, and not just always chasing the wind and always looking for the next shoe to drop or chicken little as the sky to fall. At the same time, things are heating up, and as they do, we want to be in a position to be able to help and reach out to others, and not be in a position where we have to rely on the charity of others. It's not a sin, or it is not a, I guess it's not, you shouldn't feel bad if you have to rely on others. That happens, we all do. But if we see danger coming, then we can prepare and do as much as we possibly can, and then have faith in God to do the rest. Well, I hope that you can find something in there to work with, and I would recommend, if you've not already begun to do so, to just keep your health. And that wasn't exactly the right way to say it. I would recommend that you be more cognizant of your health. Drink water, stretch, walk, exercise, do the things that are conducive to lowering stress. If you're on medications and you possibly can get off of them, like for example high blood pressure medications, and you can modify your diet and engage in more exercise, and therefore you can reduce your medications, things like that, then start working on that, because that's a good thing. All right, drink water; it won't hurt you. I drink a few of these a day, and this is a great little thermos, by the way. Zoji Rushi, excellent. This thing keeps ice in it 2 or 3, at least a couple of days, and if I put big cubes, it'll stay even longer than that. One of the most effective thermos bottles I've ever had. All right, we'll stop there. Remember, stay in the moment, and we'll talk to you the next video.